Ladies, gentlemen, and noggin smashers of all ages, Title Update 4 has been a pretty massive increase to the potential output that we can have in our top tier hammer builds, freeing us from the very constricting Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus and letting us use the Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus, but with better skills or decoration space thanks to both the new Gogmazios armor piece that has the Fulgur Anjanath set bonus on it and the transcending armor system, which has honestly just made Fulgur Anjanath armor much better as a baseline. On top of that, we have had more overarching changes for the weapon too, just a little bit, so the bulk of today will be about building around hammer in a Title Update 4 world with all the improvements to the best builds that we have from that, and we'll go through the full scale of luck requirement from something that requires a god roll talisman and a perfect set and group bonus roll on your weapon, all the way down to a build that uses a crafted talisman and does not rely on your weapon for set or group bonus at all. But first, before we get into that, let's talk about what has changed for hammer in Title Update 4 just in general. The main patch note in the weapon changes section is just that we can now control our movement a little bit better after a successful offset, which is very useful, but now you need to be much more active with your controls during that animation to make sure that you don't spin too far and miss a whole different way. The bigger change than that, however, was in the skill changes section, the charge up skill, which only works for hammer. Before the patch, this just added around 20% bonus stun value to charged attacks with the hammer. After the patch, it does still do that, but it now also increases the damage of charged attacks by around 3%. 3% by itself is a pretty small number and it wouldn't rock the boat too much on its own, except that there exists a combination weapon decoration that has charge up with 1 rank of attack. For builds that use crafted talisman, this doesn't change too much, it's still a little bit better, but it's not like a crazy difference. But if you have a god roll talisman that has 3 attack boost on it, then a socket on that talisman to fit in the 4th rank of attack boost, then the charge up decoration can have a 5th rank of attack boost on top of it, and that's sort of just a crazy amount of extra damage we're getting as a combination, being not only that final rank of attack, which is an extra 2% of your weapon attack, and a touch of bonus flat too, but then also the effective charge up itself on top of that. As a result, I am now generally recommending using charge up over focus in the same weapon decoration slots, and all of the builds that I'll be showing you today will be based around that, and they will have those in there. But I want to make it very clear early on here that first off, if you are still using crafted talismans, not an RNG talisman, focus could have better value, especially if you prefer the playstyle with it, because you're not getting the rest of the ranks of attack. They are much closer in that situation as a result, but it's basically a question of what you prefer. Secondly, if you care more about function than you do about peak potential numbers and effective raw and that stuff, you would instead run a god roll talisman and you would run charge up and you would run focus, but what you would lose for that would be 2 ranks of critical boost. Math can't account for the comfort of focus really, so if you think that you would benefit from focus, you should slot it in instead of crit boost 2 and don't worry about it. If you don't have a god roll talisman, just get rid of the charge up and slot the focus in there instead if you prefer it. That said, let's get into the new weapon setup for hammer, and we are of course going to be using Gogma Artian weapons, as they are just a direct upgrade compared to regular Artian weapons, which were what we used before this. For the base Artian that you want to upgrade from, the ideal version is to have an element weapon, not a status weapon. In a perfect world, you would have 1 weapon for each different element, but especially with set and group bonus RNG in the mix, that is much harder than it even was before. So if you just want one specific element to focus on, so you only have to build 1 hammer to begin with, 1 hammer to work towards, I would go for dragon element specifically, as it's the most generally applicable element to the difficult monsters. Not to every monster, but to the difficult monsters. That said, the element is a minor part of these setups, not the main point of them, but it all adds up over the course of a hunt. For the focus, when turning it into a Gogma Artian weapon, attack focus is the clear winner. Element focus isn't too far behind if you are correctly element matching your target's weaknesses, but attack focus comes out ahead and doesn't have that specific requirement. For the reinforcements, your ideal set of 5 is attack boost EX, attack boost EX, attack boost 3, attack boost 3, and then sharpness boost EX. I used to recommend hammer as a double sharpness boost reinforcement weapon, but sharpness boost EX is nearly as good as 2 sharpness boosts, so we get to drop 1 of those off for a bit of extra attack, which is a pretty nice increase. For the set and group bonus on the weapon, I'll go over that here, as every build we use today uses the same ones, except for the ones that don't rely on these at all, of course, and these are going to be Deshagama's Might as a set bonus, which gives you bonus attack for 3 minutes after a successful offset, quite a simple bonus to keep active with hammer, and a pretty strong one if you can keep it active frequently. Then we also get the Lord Soul group bonus. Lord Soul is part of every high-end attack-focused build in the game really, and having 1 part of that bonus come from your weapon means that you get to free up 1 armor slot to be used a little bit differently. All this stuff covered, then let's jump into the builds themselves, and we'll go into sort of a reverse potency order. The first build will be the highest potential effective raw, the second build will be the second highest, so on and so forth, generally speaking, but this is also a scale of the RNG required more than anything else. So the first build will be the full super heavy RNG requirements, and the final build will be purely crafted equipment. That said, our first build is going to be using the Guardian Fulgur Anjanath Beta Helmet, transcended up, the Raydao Gamma Chest and Waist, then the Gogmazios Alpha Gloves and Legs. This is quite a tasty combination of armor, as it gets us the Dashagama 2-set bonus with our weapon bonus included, the Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus, the Raydao 2-set bonus, the Gogmazios 2-set bonus, and the Lord Soul group bonus on top of all of that as well. For the Talisman on this, the specific build does require a God Roll Talisman to function properly, so you do need to keep that in mind, but a reminder that our next build is going to be almost the same thing, but with a crafted talisman instead, and also less latent power reliance too for those who don't like latent power. The talisman for this build then should be rarity 8, so it has the weapon socket for 1 bonus attack boost, then on the talisman itself, 3 attack boost for the weapon skill, and then 1 agitator or 1 burst as the armor skill on it. Either one of those would fit into this setup. For decorations then, I'm using critical boost 3, critical boost 2, and then charge up / attack in the final weapon slot for the reasons that we talked about earlier. The final rank of attack boost is just such a significant bonus, and this is how we get it. Again, you can swap out the 2 critical boost for focus in this setup if you prefer the feeling of playing with focus instead. In the armor, we have 1 chain jewel to get 1 rank of the burst skill, as it is the most valuable rank for us at least, then 3 counter jewels for full ranks of counter strike as well within the set. Then we also have some 1-slot sockets in the armor to do with as you please, as well as any from your talisman too. My general utility recommendation for these slots is Divine Blessing and then Recovery Up for solo hunts, with 1 slot being changed to Shock Proof if you're doing multiplayer hunts. The full skill list on this then is 5 attack boost, 5 critical boost, charge up, 5 agitator, 5 latent power, 3 counter strike, 3 maximum might, 3 divine blessing for my decoration choices, 3 recovery up for my decoration choices as well, 2 peak performance, 1 burst, then Dashagama 2-set bonus, Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus, Raydao 2-set bonus, Gogmazios 2-set bonus, and the Lord Soul group bonus as well. For the math on this one, I will go deep and detailed for this first build so you can see my process, then we'll go much quicker with math on the remaining builds afterwards. Gogma Artian weapon with ideal rolls is 257 attack. Lord Soul is a 5% increase to your weapon's attack stat itself, so it applies first. Attack boost 5 gives a 4% increase to your weapon's attack stat, and this does not stack together with Lord Soul, so it only counts based around that 257 number. That puts us to 280.13. Add 9 attack for the flat bonus from attack boost 5, plus 13 attack for agitator rank 5, which we are counting at 65% uptime, as that is generally our expectations of a monster's enraged state. Another 25 attack for counter strike 3, which should be at extremely high uptime with hammer, as we have offsets that can trigger counter strike even without fully tanking a hit the normal way that you'd have to. Plus 3 attack for peak performance 2, counted at 50% uptime. This is a pretty negligible increase in the grand scheme of things. It won't be active all the time, but especially against difficult monsters where one-shots are a real threat, I would expect players to generally try to be at full health at least 50% of the time during combat. We also get plus 5 from burst rank 1, which is the bonus that you get after hitting an enemy 1 time, not the full 5-hit bonus, as hammer can consistently keep that first hit bonus active for any meaningful damage, but not the entire thing really. Then finally we have another plus 10 for the Dashagama 2-set bonus as well, for a total attack of 345.13. For our affinity, the weapon itself is negative 10% as a base. We gain 9.75% from agitator rank 5, counted at 65% uptime. We get another 33% from latent power 5, counted at 66% uptime. Generally speaking, uptime for latent power would be 50% as a base, but builds with Raydao 2-set bonus can bump this up to 66% due to the extended duration of that effect. So we do that here as a result of having that set bonus. Then we also have 30% affinity from maximum might 3, which should be high uptime due to Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus, and this puts us at an average affinity of 62.75%. We have full 5 ranks of critical boost, which means that critical hits are a 40% damage increase. 62.75% chance of that happening makes an average damage bonus of 25.1%. Apply that to our attack total to get 431.76, which we then increase by a further 32% to account for the white sharpness damage modifier, up to 569.9 effective raw, which is massive for hammer. For comparison, the best build before Title Update 4 for hammer was around 495.7 effective raw, so this is around a 15% increase in output in comparison to that. That said, that same build from before the update, but with the new Gogmazios Artian weapon stats plugged into it into the math, would now be 534.6 effective raw, so it is still around a 6.6% increase, even aside from the weapon itself getting an upgrade too. Another thing to mention here that I'll do for each build, charge up is a 3% damage increase for charged attacks, and so this build hits 587 effective raw for charged attacks specifically. As well, just for the sake of mentioning our element calculations in here in the one place I'll mention it in the video, it's not the main focus of these builds, but some of them will have Gogmazios 2-set bonus like this one, and some of the builds won't. So just to show the difference between those things quick, for the weapons without Gogmazios set bonus, we will always have burst 1. Gogmazios Artian weapons with these rolls is 350 element as a base, so increase that by 50 for burst rank 1, as that is the bonus you get after the first hit, and that means that our non-Gogmazios set bonus builds hit 400 element. Divide that by 10 for 40 true element, which is what is actually used to calculate element damage for each hit. For builds like this one with the Gogmazios 2-set bonus, we take that 350 weapon element, increase it by 20% for the Gogmazios 2-set bonus, then add 20 flat element on top of that for the same reason, then we add that 50 from burst for a total of 490 element, or 49 true element. This means that the Gogmazios 2-set builds have around 22.5% more element damage against enraged monsters, which is around 14.6% increased element on average throughout an entire hunt. Next up then, let's talk about our build that does require set and group bonus from your weapon, but does not require an RNG Talisman roll. And it's worth noting that this build focuses around weakness exploit more than it does latent power for those who don't like relying on latent power, and it still can use a God Roll Talisman 2 to get stronger. For this one then, the armor is Radau Gamma Helmet, New Udra Gamma Chest, Gogmazios Alpha Gloves and Legs, and then the Fulgur Anjanath Beta Waist transcended up for the decoration slots. This setup gets us to Shagama 2-set bonus, Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus, and Gogmazios 2-set bonus as well, and on top of that we also get the Lord Soul group bonus on it too. For the Talisman, you want the newly upgraded Challenger Charm, which is now 3 ranks of Agitator. It's very, very nice, very good value from your Talisman slot. If you have a God Roll Talisman instead, the mathematically better choice would be to play our first build, but if you just prefer having weakness exploit instead of latent power, you could use a God Roll Talisman in this build. The God Roll would be 3 attack boost with ideally weakness exploit, but both Agitator and latent power would be workable as well. That said, I'll be doing math and showing decorations for this one based around the crafted Talisman, as that is the main point of this build. For decorations then, weapon decorations are the same setup that we talked about before. In the armor we have 4 Tenderizer Jewels to finish off weakness exploit to rank 5, 1 Chain Jewel for the first rank of burst as well, 1 Throttle Jewel for 1 rank of latent power, but you could arguably make this become Adrenaline Rush if you think that you dodge through attacks enough to make that make sense, or for the first rank of Flayer, as 1 rank of Flayer is in a really good spot right now after the patch with Title Update 4. It's hard to actually factor Flayer into math, but it feels quite solid to use, and if you were going to use it, then the latent power is what you'd want to replace. We also have 1 Counter Jewel to finish off Counter Strike to 3 ranks, then you have a spare 2-slot socket, inside of which I have put Stamina Surge just to help even more with maximum might uptime more than anything else. Past that, 2 1-slot sockets left to do with as you please, and I got Divine Blessing inside of those myself. For the full skill list, it's on screen here, quite a bit of goodness in this one, and we do also have Deshagama 2-set bonus, Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus, Gogmazios 2-set bonus for the bit of extra element power as a cherry on top, and then the Lord Soul group bonus as well. For the math on this one, blasting through it a little bit faster now, 257 weapon attack up to 269.85 with the Lord Soul bonus counted in. Add on our flat attack bonuses to bring it up to 328.85, negative 10% affinity on the weapon as a base, combined with our affinity increasing skills, goes up to an average affinity of 64.75%. We have 5 critical boost, which results in an average damage increase of 25.9%. Apply that to our attack total to get 414.02, increased by a further 32% for the white sharpness damage modifier up to 546.5 effective raw. This means it's around 4.2% weaker than the full RNG build that we talked about first. If you had a God Roll Talisman in here instead, it would bump up to around 555 effective raw, which is pretty much directly in the middle of the two, but again with less reliance on latent power than the main build if you do prefer that. As well, for the sake of mentioning it, 546.5 effective raw is the normal amount for this build, but it does boost up to 562.9 for your charged attack hits specifically. Next up we have our builds that do not require set or group bonuses from your weapon, so much less RNG requirement. This first build does require an RNG Talisman to make it work though, so basically this is for if you have a God Roll Talisman but not a perfected Gogma Artian weapon yet as well. well. The effective raw will technically be higher than the build that we just talked about, but that's because god roll talismans are now a much bigger deal for Hammer that we are using to charge up and attack combo decorations, because that 5th rank of attack is worth a lot. So even that build with its extra set bonuses is only better than this one if you are also using a god roll talisman for that. That said, the armor for this one is Raidao Gamma helmet and waist, new Udra Gamma chest, and then Fulgur Anjanath Beta arms and legs as well, transcended up for the decoration slots that you gain from that. The talisman of choice for this one is a rarity 8, so it can fit an attack boost in the decoration socket, and then 3 attack boost as the first skill, and either 1 rank of weakness exploit, or latent power, or burst as the other skill. All 3 of those options would fit into this build pretty much the same. For the decorations then in general, weapon is the same as usual. Then in the armor we have 3 tenderizer jewels to get weakness exploit up to full rank 5, 2 throttle jewels for some bonus latent power to help our affinity a little bit more, then 1 chain jewel for the first rank of burst, and a counter jewel to get counter strike to maximum ranks. This build does not have any spare 1-slot sockets outside of your talisman if you do have some there, and while Hammer doesn't have any required utility, it is still nice to have some around, so that is something to keep in mind with this build. Full skill list then is pretty simple: 5 attack boost, 5 critical boost, charge up, 5 weakness exploit, 4 latent power, 3 counter strike, 3 maximum might, 2 stamina surge which helps manage maximum might, then 1 rank of burst and 1 rank of coalescence as a pure cherry on top that will give us some extra element on very rare occasion, but we have no way of self-activating it other than like getting hit by monsters. We also have the Raidao 2-set bonus, the Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus, and the Lord Soul group bonus as well. The math for this build then is 257 attack on the weapon as a base, factor in our percent increases up to 280.13, add on our flat attack bonuses up to 319.13, for affinity negative 10% on the weapon itself, add on our affinity skills to bring it up to 76.4% on average. We have full critical boost, so 76.4% chance of a crit means a 30.56% average increase to our damage. Apply that to our total attack to get 416.66, then increase that by a further 32% for the white sharpness modifier up to 550 effective raw. Again, this does mean that it is slightly above the previous build that used a crafted talisman, but that's entirely just because of the talismans. The other build is better than this one with an RNG talisman, and this one would be worse with a crafted one. That said, this one is around 3.6% less effective raw than the perfect full RNG build is. And for the sake of mentioning it, this number does boost up to 566.5 effective raw for charged attacks specifically. Then we have our final build of the day, which is no set or group bonus from your weapon included, and crafted talisman, no RNG, so literal minimum possible randomness to make this come together. The armor for this one then is Fulgur Anjanath Beta helmet and gloves transcended up for decoration space, then new Udra Gamma chest, Raidao Gamma waist, and the new Jin Dahaad Gamma pants. This gets us Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus and the Lord Soul group bonus, but that is it. For the charm, we use the new Challenger charm for 3 ranks of the agitator skill, as that is a lot of value in itself, and for decorations, the same weapon jewels as usual in here to get the same options for changing it up that we talked about earlier as well. In the armor, we have 3 tenderizer jewels to get weakness exploit up to the full 5 ranks, 1 chain jewel to get burst rank 1, 1 throttle jewel for an extra rank of latent power, though this is the one that you can again change if you want something like 1 rank of adrenaline rush or 1 rank of flayer instead if you prefer those. Then we have 1 counter jewel for the final rank of counter strike, and we have 1 singular 1-slot socket unused for the utility to use as you please, which isn't a lot, but it's still more than 0 slots for that use. Full skill list then is 5 critical boost, 1 attack boost, charge up, 5 weakness exploit, 5 agitator, 3 latent power, 3 counter strike, 3 maximum might, 1 burst, 1 foray, just as a sort of bonus that will rarely ever contribute at all, and then also the Fulgur Anjanath 2-set bonus and the Lord Soul group bonus too. For the math on this one, 257 weapon attack with an extra 5% from Lord Soul up to 269.85. Add on our flat attack bonuses to bring it up to 315.85, minus 10% affinity on the weapon itself as a base, up to 74.75% average affinity with our skills added on. And because we have full critical boost, that means we have an average damage increase from crits of 29.9%. Apply that to our attack total to get 410.29, increased by a further 32% for the white sharpness damage modifier, and you get 541.6 effective raw, which goes up to 557.8 for charged attacks specifically. That said, our effective raw in this build is around 1.5% less than the build that we talked about right before this one, so that god roll talisman is about 1.5% damage difference in the end. It is not a huge deal by itself. The build that uses set and group bonuses on weapon, but uses a crafted talisman, is actually only around 1% higher effective raw raw than this one. And of course, the big gap does come to the perfect full RNG based build, which is 5.2% better. So it does make a difference if you have everything. It's all in small jumps, but if you apply all of it together, it looks a bit bigger, which means as long as you upgrade your weapon, just as far as the base numbers and the attack on it, you are still going to get a lot of increase over the best builds from before the title update. On which note, just to compare back to that again, the best build before title update 4, meaning the one with the full god roll talisman and everything in it, adjusted for the new Gogma Artian weapon stats, would be 534.6 effective raw. That means even this final build that has minimal RNG required is still a 1.3% increase over that previous best possible build with the same weapon stats, and that's mostly because of the difference from transcending armor pieces. So Hammer has gained quite a bit in this update just on the whole. As for how to play, just to quickly touch on it, you want to fish for offsets as much as possible between your charged upswing, the gulf swing combo finisher attack, and mighty charge upswing. All of these have your offsets, and you can sort of work them together in a way where you always have one of them quite nearby if you need it. Your main damage combos are gulf swing combo itself into mighty charge slam if you get the space to get that full combo off, and in any knockdown scenario you want to prioritize getting as many mighty charge slams as you can in that down window. That pretty much does it for today then, everyone. A full guide to building for Hammer in the new world that is title update 4 and all of the various additions and changes that we've had to set building along with it. I hope you've all enjoyed this, and I hope you all enjoy using these builds for yourselves too if you try them out in game. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world our stage. Goodbye.